Good morning, everyone. It's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, by the looks of it, from Claret and Booze. I hope you're all well. This is a daily ramble. As always, if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and don't forget, drop a like on the video. Had loads of new subscribers just lately. It does really help us. Thank you very much for all those that have jumped on board. We've smashed through 17,000, but still, there's around 30% of you that have not subscribed. So just check. It does help. Okay, so we've seen plenty of transfer news over the last few days. There's definitely going to be some movement, absolutely, in and out. It's going to happen. There's about 4.5 days left of the transfer window. Nothing like leaving it till the last minute. But as I've said before, this is nothing now at this point than desperation. It's good that we're going out there with targeting central midfielders. Mugassa from Monaco, who I know very little about. Can't be worse than what we've got. Hopefully he's a decent player. Looked like the deal was intercepted. He flew over from Monaco to West Ham, apparently passed his medical. Deal was agreed. And then, according to, I think it was Romano, reported that Frankfurt intercepted that deal and wanted to get him over there. From what I've been told, the player's keen on Frankfurt, but Frankfurt are only after a loan. So the deal that we're offering is more attractive to the selling club as opposed to the loan deal from Frankfurt. But nonetheless, it's important that we get that deal over the line if we can. We need something more in central midfield. We absolutely know that we do. So fingers crossed that moves on today because, you know, surely a sale is better than a loan for Monaco, and the player obviously wants to leave. So I've got a feeling we could probably still get that deal done. So I'm not ignoring the reports, but just hoping, really. The other one is Matthias Fernandes, a player that we've been chasing all summer. There's rumours of a £40 million bid that's been accepted, which is a lot of money. But I don't really care at this stage. Beggars can't be choosers. We're desperate. We've left it to the stage of the window now where we're going to have to overpay. It's as simple as that. We need to sort that central midfield out, or we are nailed on for relegation. This is ignoring Potter for the moment. You know, we need, whoever comes in, we need a central midfield, a mobile central midfield. So if we can get a Mugassa, that gives us Potts, Mugassa, Fernandes, and Lucas Paqueta. It's really important that Fernandes isn't a replacement for Paqueta, because he isn't a replacement for Paqueta. He's not. You know, to work with him would be fantastic. It would give us something completely different. Not in Potter's system, because Potter's system is broken. Fundamentally, to play a wing-back system, you need phenomenal wing-backs. Our wing-backs are bang average. I'm sorry, they just are. We need to go back to a 4-2-3-1, play more conventional, a back four, and sort that midfield out. And then when Jimmy and Guilherme are fit again, you know, we should be better equipped going forward to actually hurt teams. So yeah, Fernandes, if that deal gets done, regardless what we spend, I don't really care at this point. We're desperate. I don't want us to go down. We have to get that player in. So 2 central midfielders, good, if it gets done. But we've seen these things fall through, you know, throughout this window so far. We've been this far away from so many signings, haven't we? But that's the news anyway. The other news is Aguirre. I got told this the other day. I just didn't really believe it. But then it came, it got released in the press that Aguirre apparently wants to go to Sunderland. There's a bid on the table for him, and he wants to leave West Ham to go to a newly promoted team in the North East. It does make you wonder what's wrong at West Ham. It really does, and how deep that rot does run. But yeah, I mean, if that happens, obviously West Ham, to back that up, West Ham are apparently in the market for a left-sided centre-back. So, look, I wouldn't, it's not the end of the world. I think he's a good player, but we definitely need a more robust centre-back. We do, just a more old-fashioned type. I mean, what I want to give for is it Dan Ballard, who plays for Sunderland? Just a defender like that in the back line. We need someone like that, a proper defender. So I don't care, whatever. Moving on to Potter. We've got... He's got one game. He's got one game left, and he's not going to win. We could sign both of these players. We could have a new midfield. We're finished. Yeah, we are. We're just so far behind the curve compared to a lot of these other teams. It's mental. It's ridiculous. If you look at if you watched Gio's show the other day, he mentioned the bench that Nottingham Forest had against. Well, look at the bench that Wolves had, but against Crystal Palace at the weekend, they had Callum Windo, they had Diaz, they had McAtee. They just had a ridiculous bench of backup options. We're just trying to build a first team here. That's all we're doing. We're trying to buy players to replace, because these players that we're currently trying to get out, I'm sorry, James Ward-Prowse, and I know Souček scored the other day, James Ward-Prowse, Souček and Rodriguez are not even fit to be bench players. Although, if you want me to be perfectly honest with you, I think that Rodriguez is the best of the three. But as I've said before, that deft partnership of James Ward-Prowse and Souček in midfield, whoever that third man is, unless they're Declan Rice, they're going to look pony. They just are. You've got legs in central midfield. Rodriguez is probably the best player out of the lot if you just get him to do his job and you don't stretch him. And you wouldn't need to stretch him if you had legs in midfield. But nonetheless, I think he's going as well. That's the reason we're getting Mugassa in, and we've got Potts in there as well. So good that we're getting deals done finally. And this is only because we've been battered in the first 3 games, and there's a protest that's coming up, and there's a petition out there to get the ball out of the club that's gaining traction. We've smashed through 13,000 on that now, and it keeps on going up and up and up. I reckon we'll be close to 20,000, certainly after that Nottingham Forest game, because that ain't going to be pretty. So we're not dead and buried yet as a club in the Premier League, but you know, it's going to be very difficult for whoever comes in next. Now, for me, because Potter, for me, he's gone. He's done. You've only got to look at the man on the sidelines and in pre-match and post-match press conferences. The writing's on the wall. He's going. So we're now building a team for the next manager to come in. And we've still got enough attacking talent in this squad to change direction. Now, we know that Sullivan does change direction. You know, it's unlikely he's going to go for the same type of manager as Potter. I mean, the world's worst appointment for me, personally, would be Gareth Southgate. To go for the only man in football more boring than Potter would just be typical Sullivan, wouldn't it? But I think we have to understand that the next appointment from Sullivan is going to have to be, as much as he doesn't want to win favour with West Ham fans, he's going to have to. Season ticket sales are at an all-time low in that place. More people are walking away. More people are just not tuning in. And there is a real risk, a definitive risk of us disappearing from the league. And when you look at the financial situation that they've put us in, I don't see us bouncing back anytime soon. We won't. You know? I'm not saying, well, you can fall through the leagues. The Championship is not an easy league. It's just not. There's no guarantees you're going to come back. Especially when that parachute payment's just going to be used to pay off debts, which is all that we've got. It won't be used to invest. So, yeah, Potter's gone. We're just waiting, basically. But who's going to be next? I'm going to say it's not going to be Southgate. It's not going to be Dyche. It's not going to be O'Neill. It's not going to be all the ones that we expect it to be. Because I don't think, even though Sullivan would rather take that route, I just don't think he can. I think he's got to go more for a populist type of manager this time around. He's now in a situation where his back's against the wall. He's got to give us something back. We're only 2 games into a season, soon to be 3. Will be pointless, but you've got 35 games left in which to turn that around. Now, I've been hearing murmurings that it could be Ange Postecoglou that comes in next. It could be. Now, I know we've got some fans that wouldn't like that, and some fans that, like me, that would absolutely love that. I would. I think he learnt a lot at Spurs as well, because obviously he's come from divisions where he's just smashed everyone to pieces, and I think he learnt a lot about the Premier League. But we know that ultimately, you know, the heart of Big Ange is pleasing the fans. He likes to be loved, and he likes to give the fans that go to football a product. He does. If you go back and you listen to some of his press conferences when he was at Celtic, and he delivers. He tries to deliver what he says as well. It isn't just words like we hear from Potter. You know, he literally says things along the lines of, I'm not going to do the Australian accent, but he says, you know, football is a working class sport. People work so hard and they spend so much of their money to go and get their release at football. And he said it has to be an entertainment. They want to feel that buzz. They want to feel that connection. They want to feel pride in their team. You know, when you bring your kids along and stuff like that, everything he says, it honestly, when I was listening to him before he went to Spurs, I was so jealous because he will connect with West Ham fans. And even the ones that are slightly in doubt about him, honestly, he'll win everyone over. I'm sure that he will. Listen, we're not gonna challenge with Sullivan and Brady at the helm while they're still here. We're not gonna challenge for any titles or anything like that. It's not going to happen. So if we're going to be bouncing around mid-table, sometimes doing a bit better, sometimes doing a bit worse, I'd rather do it playing entertaining football, balls out, going for it. Yes, please. I don't want to bore my way to mid-table. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that at all. So for me, yes, please. Get these midfielders in, maybe get another defender, even if that means Agüero going out the other way. If we can get a striker as well, that'd be brilliant. Look how the Wolves striker changed the game for them the other day. A proper number 9 when he came on the field. I know we've got the financial hamstring now of Callum Wilson and even Fulkrug. They're both earning ridiculous money. They're both getting older. But to have a Strand Larsen, to have a proper centre forward does make all the difference. I watched over the weekend with my two boys. I started watching the flashback years, and it was in the early part of the David Moyes period when Lingard came in lockdown. And it was fun to watch. It was exciting. But one thing that you could see was everything was coming from Antonio. Just the chaos that he was causing up front. When Antonio had a good game, West Ham had a good game. You know, he brought everyone. He just battered the defence. He was mobile. You know, he was completely unorthodox. We know he was. But we need someone who's more just mental up front. We do. And we want some balls back in midfield. And from what I've heard about Mugassa, he's a bit of a dirty bastard. So I'm all for that. I don't ever want to see a game in a London derby where we've been battered, where there isn't a single yellow card from a West Ham team again. Never. Right, now, look, that's the end of that stuff very quickly. I want to move on to something else very, very quickly. As we know, the petition is gaining traction. There's over 13,000 signatures on that now, which is fantastic. And now Hammers United have basically picked up and they've gone with a protest movement, which is fantastic. And the first one of which is going to be at the Palace game. So details they've already been released. They're out there, but there's going to be videos coming out from all the channels. What's brilliant about this now is that Hammers United are uniting everyone, which is fantastic. So you're going to be seeing, you know, the likes of probably Hammers Chat, the West Ham Way. Everyone is going to be jumping on board with this and communicating this to their respective audiences. This is how you do unite the fan base, because we need as many people, as many boots on the ground as possible to go and follow the lead of Hammers United. The petition, the numbers, we've got to carry on growing with that as well, because as I've already said, that petition, there's a mail facility on there where everyone that's signed up, we can fire out newsletters. So I've already spoken to Paul, and we are going to be firing out updates to people that are on that petition in terms of what happens next, you know, where to meet, what to do, all that sort of thing. So anyone that signed a petition, you're going to be on the inside track. If you haven't signed a petition yet, even if you don't want to, for whatever reason, then go and sign up to Hammers United directly to get those updates. All right. So West Ham fans as a whole, you know, apart from a small minority now, we're working together. Because what you've got to do now, you've got to put petty differences aside. You know, I said this, I had a bit of an epiphany at the weekend. I've had these petty gripes with a few other YouTube channels based on what I've been told and stuff like that. And you know what? I'm just losing sight of the bigger picture. We really are. You've got to put that aside and focus on the main goal. Now, most importantly, where I want to go with this, because this is always a fear for West Ham fans, we shouldn't even be in this situation now. We're all, I'm going to say it, including myself, we're all complicit in the situation that we are in. We all knew that these owners were wrong uns when they bought into the club. You know, if we'd have looked a little bit deeper, we could have protested with the very few that did. You know, the protest that was led by Nigel Khan and a handful of others. We should have been protesting back then, including me. But we didn't. You know, so a lot of this, we've got to learn from the past. We've got to. And Sullivan has had. We've been here before. In fact, if it weren't for that little period, which turns out to be a dead cat bounce under David Moyes when he came in the second time, we would have been having these protests about 3, 4, 5 years ago. But we had a little period of grace where we was getting a bit of success on the pitch, and look, everything goes away. But that can't happen now, regardless of what players we sign now. Regardless of if we start to win, we can't appear like the fickle fan base that are only reactionary when things are not going well on the pitch and when we're not getting what we want. That just makes us look childish. It does. So whatever happens, I hope that we start winning. I hope that we start climbing the league. But we must not lose focus on the root cause of the situation that we have arrived in. Again, the misery that we've been feeling for the last 3 years. Just because the owner decides to throw us a few crumbs to shut us up, we can't be silenced by them anymore. We need to get them out. Now, what Hammers United are doing is they're taking a slightly different approach to me in terms of their wording. They're going for, they want them to resign. It's the same thing. We want them out. I want them out. Don't negotiate with terrorists. But resign's the same thing. Gone. Completely gone. No say in the running of the club whatsoever. That is, get people in that know what they're doing. Get a CEO in, get people that know what they're doing to run what is a business, but run it properly. Going back to what SportsX was saying the other night in terms of the reason that we've arrived in this situation is because of poor investment, favours for mates. Even Potter's a favour for a mate. He's mates with Brady. Everything we do is just toxic. It's wrong. So I'm begging and I'm pleading with all West Ham fans that regardless what happens next, please do not don't get deflected away from the real problem at hand. We must turn up the ante. We must force these owners out, because even if we do okay now for a little while, it's going to be short-lived and we're going to arrive back at this stage again. And it's so difficult for us to ramp up and get people on board with this type of thing. We'll just be stuck in this loop forever. Enough is enough. Regardless what happens this season, regardless what players we sign, regardless what manager we get in, let's get these people out of this fucking club and take our club back and move onwards. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, okay, look, that's it from me because I've got a meeting to go to. Enjoy the rest of your day. And hopefully West Ham will have signed a couple of players by this time tomorrow. Speak to you soon. Come on, you irons.